What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video where we will talk about Gonçalo Inacio because there has been a major update to this transfer story after Fabrizio spoke on the rumor coming from Portugal that Liverpool have submitted a 30 million euro bid for Gonçalo Inacio, and we will also preview the Arsenal-Liverpool FA Cup game. It's a huge blockbuster game between two of the most successful English clubs. Arsenal are third with the third most trophies, third most league titles, and Liverpool are the first with the most trophies won in English football. So it's a blockbuster clash. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below, and also, do you think Liverpool need to sign a left-footed centre-back in the January transfer window to cover for Joe Gomez? But first, let's hear about the Portuguese news that Liverpool have tabled a 30 million euro bid for Gonçalo Inacio. That was reported from various Portuguese news outlets. That equates to 26 million pounds. His release clause is 52 million. So if this news is true, Liverpool want to get the ball rolling and they will try to get Inacio for a lot lower than his release clause. And Fabrizio has now confirmed that these claims that Liverpool have submitted an official proposal is a little bit premature. They are overstated. He explained on his platform that Gonçalo Inacio to Liverpool, we have had this story on Inacio and Liverpool for the last 2 or 3 years. We hear that Liverpool are close to signing Inacio, but it's usually the same person, the same journalist linking Inacio to Liverpool. At the moment, I'm not aware of a change. He's a player that Liverpool have scouted for a long time, but right now it's not something concrete, it's not something imminent. So Liverpool are not very close to signing Inacio right now, but that can change quickly because Liverpool only have one fit player who can play left back at the moment. That is Joe Gomez. What happens if Joe Gomez gets injured? Also, the very interesting news is that when Tsimikas got injured by Saka in the Liverpool-Arsenal game, Jurgen Klopp said that Tsimikas broke his collarbone. But then a few weeks later, pictures emerge of Tsimikas running on the training field, Tsimikas doing exercises in the gym, and he didn't look like a player who has had a broken collarbone. Probably Jurgen Klopp maybe prematurely thought Tsimikas broke his collarbone, but maybe it was just some kind of ligament damage or some kind of muscle injury, because Tsimikas, after going for the medical scans, and what is crucial is that Liverpool haven't revealed the extent of Tsimikas' injury officially, so we can imply from this information that I gathered that Tsimikas' injury is not as bad as it first was feared. So he could be back not in March or April, which would have been his recovery timeline had he broken his collarbone, but he will be back probably early February or middle of February, something like that, maybe even sooner than that. Does that change Liverpool's transfer plans? Probably, because if Tsimikas would have been out until like April, Liverpool would have been left with Robertson to play left back for the majority of the second half of the season, because we play FA Cup, Premier League and Europa League. Hopefully we will still be in the FA Cup by that time, but still, even if we play Premier League and Europa League, that would have put so much strain on Robertson. It would have been very dangerous. Yes, Joe Gomez can play left back and he has done really well, so maybe Robertson and Gomez can rotate until Tsimikas is back, but the Tsimikas being back a lot quicker maybe change Liverpool's transfer plans a little bit. And Jurgen Klopp also, when he was asked, will Liverpool sign a centre-back in the January transfer window, he said, tell me a club who wants to sell a top centre-back who could play for Liverpool right now. It was never Wonderland where you bring in a world-class centre-half until the other is fit again. Liverpool don't sign players for the short term. Even when Liverpool had all 3 centre-backs injured, and we sit on our hands 2 seasons ago, I think, in the January transfer window, until the last day of the January transfer window, where we ended up signing Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies. And Ozan Kabak is playing for Hoffenheim probably in the Bundesliga. So he wasn't a Liverpool level player, even though he did well in his half a season loan at Liverpool. And Ben Davies was definitely not a Liverpool level centre back. He was a championship player and now he's playing for Rangers, I think, in the Scottish League, which is not Premier League level. Don't want to offend any Rangers fans watching this, but I don't think Ben Davies is a Premier League level centre-back. And Jurgen Klopp joked, other clubs don't put centre-backs under the Christmas tree for us and say, take it and use it as long as you need it. So that is the view of Jurgen Klopp, that if Liverpool want to sign a centre-back for the long term, it's very difficult to get him in the January transfer window. Sporting, of course, doesn't want to lose Inacio in January because they are fighting to win the Portuguese league. They're trying to go far in the Europa League as well. But also, Jamie Carragher said, maybe I need to start giving this Liverpool team more credit and respect, but I still feel Manchester City have got the edge and they are still favourites for the title right now. I think on the back of the 2 injuries to the left backs and Joao Matip being out for the season, I think the position Liverpool find themselves in is a very big opportunity that they can't waste. And Jamie Carragher thinks Liverpool need to sign a centre-back in the January transfer window. And we did some big transfers. Luis Suarez, Virgil van Dijk, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, just to name 4 of some of our recent big January transfers. So there is an opportunity to flavor if a player is available and if Liverpool pay the right kind of money, then you can sign a brilliant centre-back in the January transfer window or a brilliant player in the January transfer window. The big question is that opportunity there right now? Because if Sporting are willing to do a deal, and that's why I was so excited when these claims came out from Portugal that Liverpool are putting in a bid for Inacio, which would indicate to me that Liverpool heard either from Inacio's camp or somebody from Portugal whispered to Liverpool that Sporting might want to do a deal for Inacio if the money is right, if the price is right, and Liverpool will have to pay, of course, a lot more than the 30 million euros, probably close to 45 million euros or 50 million euros. His release clause is 60 million. So of course, if Liverpool pays release clause, then Inacio will be a Liverpool player, because then Sporting can do nothing. They have to hold their hands up. You pay the release clause, you can directly negotiate with the player, and Sporting get a great deal. But some other sources claim that his release clause is just 45 million euros, which I think is around 40 million pounds. Now that is a lot cheaper than the 52 million pound original release clause that was reported. Inacio's contract runs until 2026. Of course, Sporting are looking to keep hold of him. I also heard rumors, even though these are not officially confirmed, that when Inacio extended his contract in the summer transfer window, when Liverpool were looking still at potentially signing a centre-back, then they bumped up his release clause from 45 to 60 million euros. So which one of it is true, it's hard to tell, but a lot of journalists are reporting that his release clause is 52 million pounds, so probably that's closer to the truth. And Paul Joyce, who is a Times reporter, Liverpool-based journalist, he has his pulse on all things Liverpool transfer business, and he has very good sources, and he claims that as it stands right now, with Tsimikas' injury not as bad as it was first feared, Gomez doing absolutely brilliantly at left back, we still have Kwanzaa, Konate, Van Dijk and potentially Joe Gomez can play centre back if Robertson or Tsimikas comes back from their injuries. So as it stands right now, if Liverpool don't get any other big major injuries in the January transfer window, we could stay put and not make a move in the January transfer window, not to sign overpriced players who don't necessarily fit into Liverpool's long-term plans. Because if you want to sign a centre-back, you want to sign a centre-back who is good enough to play for Liverpool for 5, 6, 7 years and who could eventually replace maybe even Virgil van Dijk. You don't want to do a panic buy in the January transfer window. The youngster Owen Beck has been recalled from his loan spell at Dundee United to provide options at left back after the injuries to Robertson and Tsimikas. Longer term, a centre-back is required to be signed by Liverpool, Paul Joyce reports, but Liverpool are still looking at their options. So we are keeping all our options open, and at the moment, as I said, the Inacio transfer is not imminent, but it could still happen if Liverpool get an injury to Konate or Van Dijk or Kwanzaa. That will leave Liverpool very short. My biggest fear is that Liverpool might get this serious injury after January transfer window closes, but there is an argument there then if Robertson comes back, then Joe Gomez can deputize at centre-back, even though in recent years he has played more as a right-back and a left-back, and he did really well in both positions. I remember Joe Gomez playing right-back against Rangers, and he puts in some brilliant, glorious crosses against Rangers in the Champions League last season. Of course, we don't want to see a similar scenario where Liverpool panic and bring in players like Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies, who were panic loan deals or panic signings in the case of Ben Davies. And he didn't even play 1 minute for Liverpool. We just flipped him, if you like, signed him for absolute peanuts, and then we sold him for a few million profit at the end of the season. And I felt sorry for Ben Davies, because even in Liverpool's biggest injury crisis that I can remember for 20 years, Ben Davies couldn't get a minute to play for Liverpool, which was a little bit harsh at the time, I felt, because why would you bring in a player in January if you don't give him a chance, as in the middle of the injury crisis, the worst defensive injury crisis of Liverpool's recent history. So you want Liverpool, in an ideal world, to sign a player in January like Inacio, who is good enough long term. But if that player is not available right now, or if that player is not available for a reasonable price, I mean, is Inacio really worth £52 million? I'm not sure. He's not at that level yet. For 52 million, you would want a player who is even better than Konate right now, and Inacio is certainly not on the same level as Konate. It's certainly not on the same level as Virgil van Dijk, who is right now the best centre-back in the Premier League and maybe even in the world. And the Arsenal-Liverpool game is massive for Liverpool, because we could knock one of the favourites for the FA Cup. Arsenal has to be one of the favourites of the FA Cup, because they have won this competition 14 times. They absolutely love the FA Cup, Arsenal. And even in one of their worst seasons, when they finished like 7th or 8th under Arteta, they managed to win the FA Cup. The problem is, away from home, Liverpool don't win a lot of times at Arsenal. We recently won in the Premier League, not last season. Last season Arsenal beat us, but before that we beat Arsenal in 22 and in 21, and we also beat them in the League Cup in 22. So actually we have 3 wins in a row and 1 loss in our past 4 games against Arsenal. But before that, Liverpool have only won once in I think Jurgen Klopp's second season, the Sadio Mane debut game, where we beat Arsenal 4-1. And we have to go back to 2011 to find the next Liverpool win. So from 2011 until 2016 we had no wins at Arsenal, and between 2021 and 2011 Liverpool have only won once at Arsenal in like 9 years or 8 years. So that shows how strong Arsenal was at home. But this time Liverpool will go there hopefully with a fully fit, not fully fit squad, but a very strong starting 11. That's what I meant to say. And I think the key battle will be, can Liverpool again stop Martinelli and Saka? It will be very difficult to dominate the game as much as Liverpool did at Anfield, because it's at the Emirates and Arsenal usually are dominant at home. And Arsenal at home have actually a very good record. They lost to West Ham in the last home game, but before that they haven't lost at home all season. So the all season Arsenal only have 1 loss, and that is the West Ham game. So it's very unlikely that Arsenal will lose back-to-back games at the Emirates. The previous loss is against Brighton in May, in actually Arsenal's second last game in the Premier League. And apart from that, you know, they don't lose many times in the Premier League, so or in any competition. So it will be a very tough game, and I'm really looking forward to it. Come on Liverpool, let's try and beat Arsenal. And what do you think about this recent news that Jordan Henderson is desperate to return to the Premier League just 6 months after going to Saudi Arabia for like £12 million from Liverpool? There is no way in hell that I would want to see Henderson back in a Liverpool shirt, even though Jurgen Klopp liked him a lot. He was Liverpool captain. His level for the last 18 months of his Liverpool career was not at the required level to play for Liverpool, and we largely finished in a Europa League place thanks to Liverpool's midfield, which Henderson was a big major part of. And Henderson just had an awful, terrible last season at Liverpool. What I think should happen is Henderson should go to a club like Wolves or Bournemouth or somebody like that, and just see out his last few years of his career. Or a great storyline could be go back to Sunderland, where he was a youth academy player, and try to get them promoted to the Premier League. Imagine if Sunderland go up to the Premier League with Henderson in their team and potentially as a captain. A lot of people will forget his debacle of how he left to Saudi Arabia. Ben Jacobs said, if a permanent offer is accepted by Al Ettifaq and Henderson signs for a Premier League club, then Liverpool would take a huge sell-on percentage, maybe even 40%. But the problem is Henderson wouldn't fetch more than 6, 7, 8 million pounds, so Liverpool could only expect a few million at maximum from this deal. But it was actually very smart that Liverpool inserted a big, heavy sell-on clause into Henderson's contract. Henderson's club haven't received any proposals, and they will only entertain a loan or sale if it's an incredible offer. Henderson's club right now says that he's not really for sale, and they have not to date been directly informed that Henderson wants to leave. But there are more and more stories coming out in the English media that Henderson wants to leave, and Henderson's agent is briefing these journalists. In a loan scenario, Henderson's wages would have to be 100% covered by the club loaning him in. These are not as high as some reports suggest, but still a top-end Premier League wage, meaning Henderson could potentially also have to agree a significant pay cut. Firmino is in a similar position. Only difference is Al Ahly, Firmino's club, are very much open to an exit, but there is still a potential scenario where Firmino could get a loan deal to Liverpool, and we only have to cover his wages and maybe even a small loan fee. So I would take Firmino back to Liverpool on a 6-month loan, but I wouldn't want Henderson to come back to Liverpool because he's just not good enough. And the way he left Liverpool, he felt a lot of Liverpool fans felt betrayed by the manner in which Henderson left the club, and I kind of agreed with them because it wasn't nice, it wasn't a popular move. And if he returns to the Premier League after just 6 months in Saudi Arabia, it would leave even a more bitter taste in many fans, football fans and Liverpool fans and England fans' mouths, because what was the point in going to Saudi Arabia for 6 months if you didn't really believe in the project? He said he went there to improve Saudi Arabian football, and he believed in the project. He wanted his club to get better, but he's playing sometimes in front of 300, 400, 500 people. I mean, there are more fans in attendance at some Hungarian league games, and the Hungarian league is not even close to the level of any of the top 10 European leagues. So what was the point in going to Saudi Arabia? I will tell you what, a huge bag of cash. And that's why Henderson probably ruined his reputation among some Liverpool fans, not all of them. I still think Liverpool had a brilliant 10 years of Henderson, or 11 years, whatever it was. Henderson left Liverpool as an absolute legend, but as a person, he did some questionable things, and that's what I want to say about that. So I wouldn't take Henderson back for sure. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.